You're about to learn how I made this billion-dollar brand even more money.
All the big money is there.
It's going to be a proven strategy that you can use on your business no matter the size today. In our first year of business, we brought on 2 different unicorn billion-dollar brands. The first of those unicorns was Linktree. We were brought on board to beat their current control and figure out ways to get more conversions for their pro trial. I've worked with like 450 different clients, and I think it sounds easy to work with a big brand and to win, right? But it's actually really hard in marketing to come in and take something that's obviously working with a big valuation like that and take it to the next level. But we did, we increased their leads by 38% and we got a 28% decrease in their CPA. And I'm gonna show you exactly how I did it, the 3 conversion levers that I use to get more leads and sales, and how you can use it in your business to make more money.
Good idea.
And if you stick around until the end, I'm going to reveal a 4th bonus conversion lever, the golden hippo strategy that I use on all of my clients, which is the #1 most important thing when they want to attract more leads and sales. All right, let's get into it. Conversion lever #1 is to make sure that we are matching the temperature of the traffic and what was promised in the click onto the page. So the first thing that I did with Linktree was to break down their ads and to find out what ads were working and what were not, so that that messaging could be congruent above the fold. Your above the fold is your most important real estate, right? That's before somebody starts to scroll. And if you promise something to get the click and it's not here, people are going to bounce because they were promised one thing and then delivered another. So the first thing we thought about was the temperature of traffic and whether on Facebook, people even knew who Linktree was, right? Because on Facebook, that's a cold audience. That's a cold traffic temperature. People aren't actively looking for that, and we're entering a different conversation in their brains, and it's not the link in bio conversation like a Google Ads traffic might be. So these Facebook leads, and this page was going to be for Facebook and Google Ads, but because it had to cater to Facebook and that conversation happening in their brains, they weren't looking for a link in bio tool, which maybe meant that they didn't even realize that the problem that Linktree solves even existed. They might not have even been problem aware yet. On Google Ads, some of the campaign groupings were link in bio and specifically looking for them. That is a different page strategy. I used this page to bring in people earlier in the buyer's journey with different searcher intent for Google Ads. So when I was looking at their initial page or the control page that I was looking to beat, it wasn't doing enough education on what Linktree was. They weren't actually looking for a link in bio tool yet, but they do want to help their followers discover everything they do with one simple link. This encouraged the users and the readers to keep looking at the page. So as a recap, the first thing I worked out was what was the conversation going on in the prospect's mind or the reader's mind so that I could enter that and enter the right part of the buyer's journey. So we were on the same page for the conversation we were having. Conversion lever #2 that we used for Linktree was a messaging refresh. To do good messaging, it all comes from good research that plugs in to good strategy. So the first thing that I did was to research the target market and to understand in their words, what are the problems they're trying to solve? What are their goals, their hopes, their dreams, their fears, so that I could use that and connect it to the features later on in the copy, which I'll talk about soon. But the goal is that I understand their words and what's going to cut through the noise so that they actually resonate with the messaging that we're putting out there. The second part of the research is the competitor research. Now for Linktree, they were actually the first link in bio tool back in 2016. Since then, dozens of competitors have flooded the market, which means that naturally a brand needs to have a message refresh. So the goal of doing competitor research isn't to take or copy what they're doing so we look like another generic clone in the marketplace, which is what a lot of SaaS companies do. They all copy each other and then they all become commoditized and look the same. The goal is 1, to see what they're spending money on and sending it to, so I can see what offers and what messaging's working for them already in the market. And #2, it is to make sure that we do not use the same generic messaging as everybody else, because the goal of good messaging and good positioning is to stand out from the noise, to cut through that noise and not become another thing competing for attention. The goal is to become the solution in the target market's mind, not just another solution. And when I work with my clients, I want them to become the superior choice, not just another choice. I want everything else to be considered an inferior alternative compared to them. We want to be the solution, not just a solution. So when we start to figure out the messaging, we're looking for the words of the target market in this research, right? And because, as we know from the temperature of the traffic, the hypothesis is that people aren't necessarily looking for link in bio. That's not necessarily the conversation that we're entering. So what I'm figuring out is, well, what conversation are we entering? What problems are we solving? And what do they actually care about? Everybody's going to be scanning our messaging and our marketing with, so what, who cares, what's in it for me, right? So what we start to do is we want to connect the features and the benefits. Pretty much all SaaS companies that I work with fail to do this. They will spew features at you and then they'll leave it up to the reader to understand why they should care. It's something called connecting the chain of logic. You have a feature, but that doesn't actually mean anything to me. You need to translate and contextualize, so what, who cares, what's in it for me, so I can see how in my life that feature actually directly translates. But it is hard to be objective when you are really close to the product and working on the features, right? So when I was writing the copy for the page, I didn't want to leave it up to the prospects to figure out why they should care about what Linktree do. I wanted to connect that feature to the benefit, connect the chain of logic, and very quickly and precisely answer, so what, who cares, what's in it for me? And when I could figure out this messaging, remembering that marketing's just inputs and outputs and everything's just layering on top of each other, right? We've done the traffic temperature, we've done the messaging strategy, and now we can start to figure out the copy and what is going to go on the page. And that brings us to conversion element number 3, which is the brand response copy. So some of you might have heard of direct response copy, which is like hardcore sales copy, right? And the way that you might be most familiar with this is the infomercial industry. And that is a multi-billion-dollar industry, but some people do find it a bit cringe, or there are really hardcore direct response brands out there that make a lot of money, but they're not necessarily authentic to their brand tone of voice or conscious of building a big brand. And no matter whether I'm working with a small mom and pop startup or I'm working with a billion-dollar brand like Linktree, we like to write in a style that we call brand response copy, authentic brand tone of voice, but it's still sales copy that is motivating somebody to take action. So the main goal when I was writing the copy was to move away from just talking about what Linktree does factually, right? Like nobody cares, because when we read this page, we want to know what's in it for us. And instead, I wanted to show how Linktree is a vehicle to move people from the crappy before state they are into that desired after state. And after working with about 450 clients, one of the biggest objections that I get is, oh, my copy's too long or my copy's too salesy. And when it comes to the copy is too long objection, my answer is there's no such thing as copy that is too long, just copy that is too boring. And here's why. Your copy on your landing page is effectively your digital salesperson. And you would never ever limit your salesperson with the amount of words they can say. And you would never ever give them weird, cryptic, clever little sound bites for them to say and expect them to close a sale, right? But the amount of times I've seen websites, landing pages, funnels, where the copywriter's gotten clever, like, you know, oh, this is smart, this is cute, and everyone pats themselves on the back and think that's awesome marketing, but they've lost the clarity. And the clarity is key, and that's the same as sales, and it's the same as marketing, because basically your sales page is a salesperson in digital format. Clarity is better than clever, and you want to be super clear on answering that so what, who cares, what's in it for me. And because I've already done the research, I've front-loaded my work on this client and all my clients to figure out what does the target market want? What have they tried before? Where are they in their buyer's journey? What's the conversation in their head? Pain points, hopes, dreams, fears, how they articulate in their words, their dream outcome and the problems they're having. It puts writing copy on easy mode. But most people let their marketing be led by assumptions and I thinks, right? And then they're disappointed when they get crappy results. But you're always gonna get crappy results if you aren't target market obsessed and you're not target market led. So as a general rule of thumb for copy, I follow the problem, agitate, solve. At the start, we want to show that we understand the problem they're having, especially if they haven't quite figured out how to articulate that problem themselves. So here you can see we're talking about you never have to change the link in your bio again. That was the problem from my research people were having. That was the frustrations they were having with their social channels, right? They would have a new promotion or a new campaign and they were always rotating that link in bio. Linktree solves that problem. And then going down, we start to agitate the problem, and then we introduce Linktree as the solution. Now, depending on where your target market is in the buyer's journey and how much education they need, that will depend on the length of the problem agitate solution. So for example, when I work in the course industry or when I'm working further up earlier in the buyer's journey, you have to do a lot more education around the problem because you have to show them that they have a problem. Whereas on this, we didn't have to do that as much. So in summary, with our copy, we wanted to show so what, who cares, what's in it for me, remembering that our landing page is effectively a digital salesperson. Clarity, not clever, and we wouldn't limit the words needed for a salesperson, and we don't do that on this page either. We're creating a page to get several micro yeses and to get people engaging, but ultimately to persuade and motivate them to take the action that we want them to take. All right, and if you've stuck around so far, now you get to find out what is this golden hippo strategy, aka conversion lever number 4 that I used on Linktree, but also all of my other clients. It is the core conversion lever if you want to make more money, because it is a golden hippo offer, right? The offer is what they get by taking action. And I've never, ever seen a weak offer dominate an industry. Very, very truly, if you can change your offer, you can change your business. So going back to most tech and SaaS companies, they spew out all these features and then they expect people to like do the math or have all those algorithms flying around their head and like figure out why they should take up or spend money or buy their product. And then they get upset when people don't want to buy it after spewing features at them. So for Linktree, when it comes to the offer, we wanted to make sure that the perceived value is greater than the risk, the friction, and the cost to them for taking action, right? It needs to be an irresistible offer to motivate them to take action. So when I was writing Linktree's copy, I didn't want to make the users work to understand why they should care. And I wanted to stack the value at the end of the page. Now, one caveat to this is that when I'm working with smaller brands, people that aren't industry giants, which is most of my clients, of course, because there's only a small percentage of people that can be number one in an industry, then we put a lot more value into the offer. So what we wanted to do was make sure that we were stacking all of the value that they got and connecting it into their words to either obliterate a pain point or to show them how we solve a problem or get them closer to a gain point. Your offer, your golden hippo offer, is all about stacking that value and showing very clearly with great clarity how you're going to move them from their crappy before state into their desired after state. Alrighty, and that is the end of today's training team on how I made a $1 billion brand, Linktree, more money. And honestly, this is the same strategy I use for $1 billion brands, freshly funded startups, B2B, B2C, no matter what it is, because it's all about persuasion, motivation, and tapping into human brains and psyches to get them to do what you want to do and persuading them to take action. As a quick recap, here were the 3 ways and the 1 bonus way that I helped Linktree and that you can use in your own business. 1 is to make sure that you're matching the temperature of the traffic and whatever you promised in the click is delivered above the fold. 2 is the refreshed messaging. So making sure you have messaging that's going to resonate with your target market. It's going to call out to them and it's going to cut through the noise that's happening not just in your industry, but in the noisy lives of your target market to help motivate them to take action. Number 3 is creating that brand response copy and writing a digital sales page that's going to motivate somebody to take action and is effectively your digital salesperson. And the 4th bonus was the golden hippo offer. This is what they get by taking action. This is the whole point of the page. This is the core of your page. What do they get? So what? Who cares? What's in it for me? You gotta make an irresistible offer. Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's training. As a reminder, knowledge is power, but our time together today was effectively useless unless you go and action some of these and start making more money, getting more leads, making more sales on your own website, landing page, or funnel. So team, let me know if you have any questions in the comments Or what was your number one takeaway from today that you can go and start actioning tomorrow? Or if you have a website, a landing page, or a funnel and you want me to check it out and give you some feedback, chuck it in the comments. Pop the URL in the comments and you will get some unfiltered, somewhat unsolicited advice on how to improve your conversion assets. Thanks again, team. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you on the next video.